president is to blame for the non-resourcing of the Commission of Inquiry. 5 people said, yeah, maybe the office of the president is to blame, either totally or in part. So that's how our votes split along the lines this morning. 17 saying no, 5 saying yes. And of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through all programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning.
Yeah. All right, I'm just trying to get my guest here.
Afraid to say anything now, yes.
Continue to tote for the rest of the day.
I heard an interview yesterday with the writer and one of the castmates of the play I referenced. I think it's yesterday or the day before. It's Flight. I think they have one night at Central Bank. And she was saying, the writer that is, I think she's also the director, that it was born out of the tragedy of Flight, the TWA flight that was downed, where people lost their lives. And she was inspired to write it based on the fact that, imagine, none of those persons who boarded that flight knew it would be their last flight, or moments later they'd be dead. So they're running, I think, at the Central Bank Auditorium.
Oh, it's still running?
Queen's Hall, yeah. They've put on one more night. They ran one day before, and now they're running one day this weekend coming up here.
Oh, okay.
So they've gotten you know it is more than anybody else. They've gotten a space at Queen's Hall through a cancellation, so they opted to put on the production again
at Queen's Hall.
Yeah. So those of you who are interested, you could go check out Flight. I think it was TWA.
What is the name of the play?
I think it's Flight.
Just Flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought I'd give them a plug.
Yeah.
That's a good plug.
No, support theater. Support theater. All the time, every time.
Because Greedy People is coming when?
The 1st and 2nd of October is when we return at Cipriani College.
Oh, Cipriani, so ask you where.
So we come back Cipriani on the 1st.
Jamaica, there are persons in Jamaica calling for the resumption of hangings to deal with their murder rate, which seems back on the way up. I don't know, every study you look at seems, or many of the studies we look at seems not to support hanging as a means to curtail murders. Many of the studies you read, there's doesn't seem to be a strong correlation or a sustained correlation between hangings and murder rates. But I guess there's so many other factors that go into that. One of them being you actually have to catch them and pass them through the criminal justice system before you can hang them, if you want to go that way.
Well, if you want to go that way, yeah.
So if your detection and solvency rates are low, it's a mute discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're still out there. Good news, the young man who survived the shooting in Malik a couple of weeks ago has been discharged from hospital.
Okay, well, that's good.
That's great news. So, I was really happy to read that this morning, that he's recovered enough. I think there was one who died, and he was also shot in the head. So, it's a small miracle that he's well enough to be discharged. And we wish him and his parents and his family all the best for his future. No doubt there may be some after effects. I don't think anybody that age could be shot in your head, but hopefully he's able to fully recover and live a normal life and reach his full potential. But I was really heartened to read that this morning, that the young man, let me read the story, it's in the Newsday. While most children, and this is the news today, 9-year-old Javan Price was in hospital after he was shot and moved. Albeit classes with no teachers. 8-year-old Javan was shot in the head, was discharged from hospital on August 16th. He was hit in the head, and a friend of his, 11-year-old boy, was shot twice in the leg when gunmen chased a 38-year-old mover man after murdering another man. His mother, Marcia Burke, thanked the medical staff who treated him. She said he came home on Monday. I want to thank the doctors at the Port of Spain General Hospital, the neurologist and nurses at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. Javan was transferred to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex the night he was shot, and his condition was stabilized. She said her son is doing very well and expected to make a full recovery. So let's have a round of applause for that, Steve. That is really great news this morning.
That is great. That is great news. That is great news. Here we go. Here we go.
So, good on the staff at Port of Spain and Mounted Hospitals, and certainly his mother, who no doubt held vigil for him by his side, praying for her son's recovery from this horrible situation. No child should be subject to a gunshot. So, have they caught anybody for that? I don't know. I didn't see a report saying they caught anybody.
I haven't seen anything.
So the shooter's still out there somewhere, quite possibly.
Somewhere.
Never a dull moment.
And
I think we're distracted with this. So you're reading your papers this morning.
No, I was looking for a particular story that I saw earlier, but I'm not finding it.
What story is that?
I can't remember, that's it, but I remember saying that this was
If you're looking for the story, if you can't remember the story, seeing it will just
no.
brain?
Yes, I will see it. If I see the story, I will know which one it was.
All hope.
But I just thought it would have made an interesting thing. So that's why I was leafing through while you were speaking about
So
yeah,
I guess
I did get on to Watson Duke, and you said quote unquote, I'm not taking it further for the moment.
Well, call Sally.
I did a couple of times. He answered. I sent him a WhatsApp. I didn't even know if he read it, but he's online. So he ducking.
You call Calvin Morris. He's the minority leader in the assembly. But he's the lone PNM person in the assembly, if I'm not mistaken. Come, Steve.
I don't know if I have that.
But why would he have any
Because he's in the assembly, he may be able to shed some light if a discussion was had in the assembly about funding for Tobago artists who want to represent the island in New York. He may have access to information. In the absence of Watson Duke and Fadi Augustine, the minority leader is the next best person to talk to. He's not our first choice, but certainly in the absence of Watson wanting to make a further comment and Fadi than answering the phone. Since he got appointed, because when he wasn't appointed, he used to answer the phone all the time.
Oh yeah.
Well,
all the time.
People
day and night.
People do get busy after appointments. To be fair, before you're appointed, you're not busy. When you get appointed, you get busy. Unless you're suggesting that Fali Augustine does not talk to the media. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, that was not the implication.
Well, then what is your implication?
All the time before he was appointed.
What is your implication?
Secretary. That is what I said. Okay?
And I'm saying before you're appointed, you have much more time to talk to the likes of, irritating people like Steve Cannon and Paul Richards calling you. But when you appointed, you get busy.
And you omitted yourself, didn't you?
Of course I did.
No. All right. But that is such a bad story. Yeah, but I mean, there are two sides to every story. We just heard one. And we have to get decided the other story.
Well, Watson has clearly laid down the gauntlet and said the persons who are in authority at the assembly and to do right by the persons who are in New York.
But well, that's kind of how many? What is the delegate? How many people? What you said?
I think it's 20 people.
So you mean out of the 20 people, not one person would say, "Well, where we staying? Are we getting a podium?" Not one person brought that up.
I don't know how to do things there.
That seems
very odd.
Very, very, very odd.
Yeah.
That you would, as I said earlier on, that you would jump on the plane
And anyway,
not knowing where you're staying, not having a podium, and you're an official task of representing the island. That is very, very odd.
Yeah. Yeah, you're Richard, you'll be staying at number 1 Harris Street in Curapa when you go up. So
And you ain't do a Google and see if 1 Harris Street is up to your standard. Is that it?
Out of 20 people? Yeah. Something not right there.
Well,
I'm going to try Folly again.
I will see if Mr. Agostino responds to it in the public since what's new, because it's clearly
All right, you're doing that fine. Wonderful.
thrown down the gauntlet. But I mean, we'll see how it goes where those two are concerned. As I said, I'm not surprised. The honeymoon may be over now. Watson is not the type of personality, in my opinion, to be the bridesmaid figuratively.
Are you trying to look for bacchanal where there may be none?
No.
It's a question. Are you trying to make a bacchanal? Because you're saying these kind of statements, the honeymoon over, and he's thrown down the gauntlet. So are you trying to throw coals?
You forgot where he says he won't stay.
Are you trying to throw coals onto a figurative fire when there actually is no fire? Just a question, Paul Richards. Because I'm looking at your adjectives.
Well, I'm seeing embers. So maybe going close to look at the embers, my exhalant may be inadvertently fueling the embers unintentionally.
You're being very dramatic. The honeymoon is over. He's laid down the gauntlet.
The honeymoon.
Those are the words you're saying.
The honeymoon is. Let me put it more. The honeymoon is over. He's laid down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Is that more dramatic for you?
No, I'm just saying.
Open the phone now. Let me see people think that the honeymoon.
Is that the correct interpretation?
Let's see, play back the clip, and let's let the listeners who may not have heard it earlier hear, and see if I am being over dramatic.
All right, let me just get it.
The honeymoon is over. He has laid down the gauntlet.
He's laid down the gauntlet. For those decision makers and policy makers high up to do what is required. Am I being overly dramatic? I'm reading too much into this. What could be a minor spat? I use the word spat nowhere. I use the word spat. As opposed to disagreement or misunderstanding.
Yeah. Are you playing
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. He's a little slow this morning. We apologize.
No, I have to connect.
Maybe Snide is here this morning. I apologize.
Chester Street, Brooklyn, New York, Peterkin Hotel. I have come here to the aid of some 27 Tobagonians from Roxborough Food Group that came to Brooklyn with the aid of Tobago House of Assembly to perform and to represent Tobago and our culture. They were not provided for. Beyond the ticket, when they land, they were treated as thieves, as slaves, as castaways. There were no transportation to rally them and take them from the airport to a chosen specific destination. They came on the streets of New York trying to find a place to sleep, tired, weary, feeling emasculated and mentally broken. They stayed in a basement for a couple of days with dead rats, etc., hungry and forgotten by the Tobago House of Assembly. I say forgotten because in spite calls were made to the base, to Tobago House of Assembly, stating things are not so. Alright, what can be done? Nothing has been done. Today is the 7th of September. How many days passed already? About 4 days passed, and thank God for the sake of a good Tobagonian from a diaspora he would have utilized his cash after 4 to 5 days and paid for 27 of them to have proper housing in a hotel. But that's housing. At least they can wash, they can bathe, they can relieve themselves, etc. But more important than that is the one need for food. They are without food. They are hungry, and I've come to the aid. I can do so much. 1 day, 2 days, maybe 3 days. But when you consider that they are going back on Monday, what do they do between now and then? And they have lots of show to perform every time they travel. Each person must find at least a minimum of $20 to pay to travel. They have to keep their clothing clean. They must be well attired, hair comb, etc. It's causing them to stay in New York. I'm appealing to the Tobago House of Assembly, of which I'm part, but those who consider themselves to be the decision makers, those who consider themselves to be the hot shots in the Tobago House of Assembly, the policy makers and the drivers of the system, to act wisely and do so now. Show Tobagonians that you care about them and send money via Western Union, whatever means. So make whatever arrangement to ensure these persons are fed, and that these persons are fed tonight. We're not waiting tomorrow. Do it now. Make whatever call you have to make. Pull it up, or else this goes live without any further warning, and you will have to deal with this. I will champion their cause, and I will defend their rights, because for that I was voted in to office. What and why you were voted into office, you must tell the nation. Thank you very much.
Was that dramatic? Hasn't the gauntlet been thrown down?
I don't know. It's a very there are several things that come to my mind considering this issue. One, what was the approved package, which is what I mentioned.
I thought about that. What was the original arrangement? Because it may have been just for air transport.
Yeah, because it has to be what you asked for.
Or what was agreed to.
Yeah, and so that would have been approved, and I don't know if it included
hotel and ground transportation,
hotel and all of those things that that money was issued, but it may be, and who was in charge of the funds and what happened. So there are several things that need to be investigated in this issue. With regard to that, it is a little bit duplicitous on the part of Watson Duke to say to blame the Tobago House of Assembly for which you are deputy political leader. You have a say. You have a considerable say. No, but what I'm saying is he's not a deputy. Yes, he is a deputy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm saying you have considerable say. So to kind of blame the Tobago House of Assembly of which you're acknowledging that you are part.
But he also said
this is something that you could have resolved.
That the people who make the policy and the decision implying that it's not him.
But it can't not be, well, from an electoral point of view, you have a say. And
well, from a leadership point of view, you have a say.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's targeting the actual bureaucrats of the Tobago House of Assembly in terms of the people who have to issue the payments, which are generally public servants or
it would eventually, even if it's the bureaucrats, it still ends up in the hand on the lap of the chief secretary, because ultimately the chief secretary leads the assembly.
Well, ultimately, but in terms of things of finance, it would come under the finance person.
Yes, but if the assembly is implied to have fallen short in terms of responsibility, and I'm not sure they have a responsibility past the airline tickets. We said that earlier. We don't know what the original arrangement is, and the original agreement is. It may have been airline tickets alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you all find your hotel, you all find your podium, you all find your transportation, and they agree. We don't know if that
this is now a new issue that has arisen.
This is now a new issue that has arisen. We don't know. But the issue will eventually fall in the lap of the chief secretary to respond on behalf of the assembly.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, but to me, the Watson Duke does no service to the Tobago House of Assembly, because you have all of the connections.
Wouldn't you say he's thrown on the gauntlet?
I don't know if he's thrown on the gauntlet. I think he's being a little opportunistic and self-serving.
And what's new?
As he can be in terms of advocating, in terms of advocating to up his profile, rather than trying to deal with the issue through the channels and the communication channels. I am
which
sure
he has access to.
are pretty clear for you.
Yeah,
And
which
trying
he
to
has
resolve it. So saying that if you don't do it, you in other words, you're speaking from a position of I am a cog in the wheel and I am powerless. That's how Watson Duke is
I
talking.
absolve myself from responsibility as part of the leadership
Exactly.
of the assembly.
And but even
I'm not sure that can fly.
even if he is not to blame, he may not be to blame at all. But I'm just saying, you are also part of it. It's not and not only that, you're part of the ruling administration.
And,
so
and
for you to say
the leadership structure of the ruling administration,
you're still talking like you're in opposition.
Yeah,
you're talking like you're in an opposition perspective, like how you would talk when you have to swim across and
you have no authority,
and that you have no authority. You're still in that mode, and that doesn't do well. It doesn't read well because you're now in a position of power.
But as I said before, knowing the personalities I've seen over the years, this doesn't surprise me one bit. I'm just
thinking it could have been handled differently, rather than making it
and the number is because the numbers
making it that kind of public way. But anyway, yes, we can open up the lines. 222 talk 222-8255. North Americans 866-525-1099. Yeah. You have the right. You could call anybody in the Tobago House of Assembly. To me making a video like that is more optics.
It's more solving the issue. It's self-serving.
Yeah, it's more optics than solving the issue. Yeah. And if it's and I'm saying if there is an issue to be solved, and that's a very uncomfortable issue because when you're in a foreign country, it means you have less people to depend on. Obviously, you're pretty much on your own, and you're talking about issues of food.
Yeah, well, the other side of the argument could be that he called and he didn't get the response he wanted.
Yeah, let's grab this call, gentlemen. Good morning.
Morning, Paul Richard, Steve Khan, Richard Ragoobarsingh.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
Right, this TAJ issue, what is up here. I was listening to Donna Haddad sometime last week.
Donna Haddad is not in Trinidad and Tobago. I think you mean Diane Haddad.
Diane
Haddad. And
she was, no people named now, don't rechristen them.
Yeah, and she was trying to indicate like there's some issue in the TAJ. She was talking very strongly, about certain things, and like she can't talk to nobody inside. So I don't know. Only need to call her to find out what is really going on in there because what was the Duke saying there and all? It's something like he can't talk to people there neither. Nice? And the fella yesterday, inquiry, the Commission of Inquiry, not only the furnitures and the pen and things, these lawyers, these big lawyers, when they're unprepared. So Richard Abu we had to say about that. Peter Paris, the next lawyer, they're unprepared. The man say, don't give me nothing up 30 days, don't look at that document. Take one by one and send it in. So, like, nobody was ready for this inquiry yet.
Well, apparently not. Obviously, there was a gap in the system in terms of the establishment of this Commission of Inquiry. And Paul is right that it can feed into a narrative by some people's interpretation of it as being disrespectful to the divers and disrespectful to the entire incident by not properly resourcing the Commission of Inquiry. It can feed into that because they already had to clamor to get the Commission of Inquiry in the first place, where people died. And not only that, there are some serious questions to answer because the narrative of the survivor was that they could have been saved. That when he left them in the pipe, they were alive. And also the prevailing circumstances, if standards were upheld in terms of the
care of the situation, the protocols and procedures that were to be maintained in terms of international best practice with what is a high risk situation. All these questions have to be answered.
Yeah. All right, we have some calls. Good morning. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning, Jam Jam.
Good morning, Gemma.
Call.
Yeah,
Good
how
morning.
are you?
Just call. I just called to tell her good morning.
Good
morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
You all right?
Well, I don't have any. I am 100%, but thank God for life.
Right.
Yes, when I wake up in the morning, I'm a winner.
I know when.
Yes. Up to now, I ain't seen a boy up to now, nah?
Who's that, Wendell?
Yes. Yet I ain't seen yet.
Oh, why Wendell is do
Come
this
here.
thing?
Why Wendell is do this, boy? You're a true politician, you know. Say one thing and don't act on it.
I'm sure you'll see him soon.
It's her.
Yeah, go ahead, Gemma.
Yeah.
Alan. Okay, have a blessed
No,
day.
go ahead. You call it Richard. Go ahead.
Okay, Gemma, can you keep good?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Jam. Take care. Haven't heard from Jam in a while. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Just two simple matters. Something happened in Brooklyn over the weekend.
It's called Labor Day
That
Jam.
Right. And Trinidad was well represented at the Barclays Center. A record crowd was created at the Barclays Center. As a matter of fact, I spoke to one of the middle managers there, and they intend to make that a yearly event. I did not read anything about this. Neither did I hear any news item about this on the radio, neither read anything on the newspaper. But I guess, again, it's Trinidad.
Now, we congratulate Marshall Montano.
Hold on. I don't understand what you mean
yesterday.
is Trinidad. What does that mean?
We congratulated Marshall Montano, and several other media houses and media persons congratulated Marshall Montano for his outstanding feat of selling out Barclays.
And it's
Yes,
been
that is
all
an
over
accurate
social
statement.
media.
I mean, gentlemen, much respect to your response, but I only read this on Facebook. I did not read it on the electronic media, and neither did I. I don't even think I had a discussion about this on Tuesday morning on your radio station.
We
Maybe
spoke
I might
about
have-
it yesterday.
I apologize.
New York.
Yeah, so, well, I mean,
New York.
Okay,
We dealt.
Okay, sir. Respect to this. I missed it. I may have been in the bathroom or in the kitchen making my breakfast. The second thing is the Commission of Inquiry. Senator Paul again is blaming the government, but he has not mentioned what about the permanent secretaries, the deputy permanent secretaries, who knew there was a Commission of Inquiry to start and was supposed to make the preparatory work. I mean, you expect the government or the politician to go, I guess we expect the government or the minister to go and wipe the desk and to serve the commissioners.
But if Minister Young could go and get this on the Prime Minister's office.
Are you serious? Are you serious, Senator?
But that's what the chairman of the commission said. Minister Young intervened and got permission from the Prime Minister's office.
What I'm saying is you're placing the blame on the government. What about the managers of the public service who knew there was a commission of inquiry to be held and started and to make the preparatory work for a smooth start? I didn't hear you blame them, but you're blaming the government, meaning the politician. I mean, Minister Young had no choice. I mean, he's the minister directly responsible, I think, yes. But come on, what about the middle managers in the public service? I mean, we have to cast the blame where the blame is supposed to be cast. I mean, if anybody knows about the operations of the public service, which I served in for 30 years, we will know that the permanent secretaries, the deputy permanent secretaries, the senior executive officers, they are the ones to make sure things are in place to have a smooth start. Not the minister who's supposed to be taking a chair and drop it. Come on. Have a great day, gentlemen. God bless you all. God bless the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm listening.
all right, thank you, caller. So, Paul, stop attacking the government, please. I see that Rajiv Dipti is also now the president.
Well, the call finished? Okay, thanks, so we can move.
Yeah, good God.
Up now, go ahead.
Tame your sarcasm and let people like you.
Up now, wait, go ahead.
Rajiv Dipti, I see, he's now the new chairman of this Caribbean Supermarket Association.
Good for him.
A Caribbean Supermarket Association has been formed to deal with regional food security, or at least look at the issue of regional food security. So I suppose there's a conversation we could have with, because Rajiv is like, a frequent speaker on our program. So talk with
and actually very conversant in many of the issues. So in the issues.
And what's the vision of this Caribbean Supermarket Association? So maybe we could, speak to him sometime, if not this week, next week.
Steve, don't rush it now. We don't have the time. Let me do it next week, man.
Yeah.
Now we get hyper. And the phone lines are open.
Yeah, we have one. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. How is everybody? Everybody's great?
We good, man. How you going?
I'm good, sir. Steve, I sent an update on my mom to you. You got it, right?
No.
All right, I said it last week. She's at home recuperating, but she's
yes. I said that she was back home recuperating. And you said it came yeah.
All right. Now, with respect to the two topics this morning, they are so similar. I don't know if you all have seen that. One, the chief secretary is technically being blamed for not arranging for the people, and the other one, the president, is being blamed for not arranging for the commission. Okay? Very, very similar. Now, as Mr. Richards just said, it's ultimately the chief secretary who has to answer, that is responsible for the people coming to New York not being taken care of. So
he has to clarify what the arrangement with the assembly was, because it may have been, as we said, that the assembly agreed to provide air transportation costs. We don't know.
All right. So indirectly, we are saying that the president has to clarify who's responsible for that situation. The commissioner.
Well, somebody called earlier on. I cannot confirm the information, but somebody called earlier on and said that the president did put out a release, but I can't confirm that because I didn't see that release.
All right, so but the two cities are very, very similar when I look at them. And one thing that Mr. Duke said I'm getting kind of mixed up with, I can't see myself going on a plane, going to New York, have no money in my pocket, and I don't know where I'm going to be staying. With my itinerary, that's very, very difficult. That's 27 people did that.
Yeah, 27. Not one ask. That's what I said.
That's very strange. That nobody asked, well, where are we staying? Which hotel are we staying in? In Hilton? A 6-bar? It's very strange. But in the end, everything will come out, and as Mr. Richard said, the chief secretary should make some statement to clarify exactly what's happening. And we'll have an idea. Instead of jumping to conclusions, then we know exactly what you
do you think Mr. Duke has thrown down the gauntlet?
If you see the Cheshire cat smile,
or is it
that Paul Richards has, I shouldn't say
Cheshire
cat. I should say Cheshire cat.
Because according to a caller a few minutes ago, I shouldn't only ask the government if they should provide resources. I should ask the permanent secretary. I mean, come on.
No. I heard the caller. You can understand.
Is the clerk in the ministry supposed to provide the money?
That's okay, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, right? Must be.
Or somebody didn't.
Or nobody don't know who's supposed to provide the money. As if this is the first commission of inquiry we ever had in Trinidad and Tobago.
Good. Be all right, gentlemen. You have a nice day.
All right, you too, Brooklyn. All the best. Thanks, big guy. Good morning, caller. Good morning.
Making the 3 daily newspapers, something is going to happen. And of course, that complaint going viral, something is going to happen today with regard to the resourcing of that commission of inquiry.
Of course.
It's probably, for all you know, it's probably settled already.
The first response is Steve. I'll give you the cue. Steve, pull out Shaggy. It wasn't me, right? Because everybody said it wasn't me.
And everybody just pack a bag. When I tell you.
You're right. I do understand that. We just jump on a plane without knowing where you're staying.
Huh?
Or if they tell you where you're staying, Google it to make sure it's up to the standard you want. Not so.
Yes. But But no matter if I going down the road and my daughter say, mommy, come and go down the road. I always have $100 stick in my pocket. You must have X money.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you are going to represent your country, you may have your own pocket change. People have different resource capabilities.
Yeah.
And not everyone who is going to represent the country may be able to take care of themselves in another jurisdiction. But you're supposed to find out how you're taking care of yourself before you go.
Exactly. Where you will be staying, who will
Otherwise, don't jump on the plane.
Exactly. No, the freeness, somebody say, it's a free ride, let's go. Nobody wasn't thinking there.
27 people.
Exactly. Trinidadians. Give me gang probably. Amen.
All right.
But is the permanent secretary fault?
Israel taught man.
No, was there some kind of anyway? I didn't want to describe it. And the numbers. This one come off each train this morning and decide to call and present a different perspective. He was in the bathroom. We didn't hear me talk big up Marshall yesterday. Okay, no media house said big up Marshall. Then we spoke effusively about Marshall's success yesterday, and other media houses I heard speaking about it to several other radio stations, and it was on television stations with congratulations Marshall and showing videos and showing pictures of the event and how successful it was and how proud we are of him. But can you hear that? Okay? And social media is not media. Just have to be on a radio station and have an antenna in the air. Really? Release me up, eh?
That's why we wait for calls to stream in.
It was only on social media, so social media and media. My hair growing out, yes, so actually teaching.
As we wait for calls to stream in, as we head towards the 8 a.m.
Nobody big up Marshall.
Just for some tech news, of course, Apple held its event yesterday, and they launched the iPhone 14, the iPhone
new
14,
iPods, new iWatch Ultra.
Yeah, so
iOS is coming next week.
So for those of you who drink from the Apple Kool-Aid, you had lots of products that were yesterday.
And a lot of us drink from the Apple Kool-Aid.
So
take your money.
The iPhone 14 is here. If you want to take your money, you have to upgrade your latest iPhone.
Oh, we didn't discuss Guy Griffith at his first public meeting last night, the NTA.
I saw that yesterday. You know, sometimes you'll post videos in the Power 2 group, and it's not really contextualized. And I'm like, well, what is this? Was he speaking?
He held his first public meeting in Diego Martin last night.
Okay.
Of the NTA as a political entity.
Well, it seemed well attended, you know.
So he came out. You see him?
Yeah, I saw that part. I listened to part of it. I wasn't sure what it was. So
I don't know what kind of box he gave me because his hands were a little limited in this reach, but
so he was an enthusiastic audience. You know?
Yes, he had it was a well attended event.
Yeah.
But I didn't listen to the whole thing yet. I'll probably listen to it later today.
I didn't listen to it. I mean, I listened to part of it, but I wasn't sure what it was. And then I realized, it's a meeting of some sort.
I listened to the first he started by contextualizing the potential of the third force in the country. And he went from ONR to NAR to COP and what they were able to do over the years. And getting to his projection is that there are about 200,000 people who are unaligned. And he made a point of saying they're not there to split votes or put one party in power as opposed to the other, but do the best they can for Trinidad and Tobago. But I guess I'll go through it today and see what other important information he may have shared.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab this call. Good morning.
Good morning, my good friend.
Good morning, Ellie in Trinidad. Morning.
Oh, yeah, good morning. Hey, Steve, I ate some doubles yesterday, but oh my God. You won't believe.
It was that bad.
He would believe actually.
It was that good. Hey, Richard Ragoobarsingh, you coming down hard on my good friend Paul Richard today, boy. You coming?
That's all right. I good. Back broad. Accustomed.
But Paul, if you could remember, this is not the first time this happened. Remember, we had a football team that went away to represent the country, and they couldn't get money to do certain things, and the Haitian football team did come and get them money. I think you remember that?
Because the permanent secretary didn't get any money.
Yeah, just recently, our next team qualified to go and represent the country in some world games. And the Ministry of Sports, one of the parents or one of the players come out and talk how hard the child train and everything.
Because the permanent secretary didn't get any money to go.
Yeah. So I know if you're supposed to blame the permanent secretary, we had to take on money from
permanent secretary making the decisions and calling the shots.
This is not the first time these things happen, so I don't know
and
how
the permanent secretary, not the permanent, the permanent secretary.
Yeah. Okay, you guys have a good day, man.
All right.
You have a wonderful day. Be safe.
All right. Ellie, we are going to chat with Kelvin Morris next hour.
You see? Look how easy he did that. Isn't that wonderful and Rachel? But why I call him Kelvin Morris? This is Ragoobarsingh person.
I don't know how much he can contribute to the discussion, so we'll find out.
Well, in the absence of the chief
I
secretary,
said a statement already. We'll find out.
And the deputy chief secretary, we call the next best person the minority leader.
Is the next best person the finance person at the THA?
We do have that number.
Really? Well, that's a shock to me.
But it was Mr. Jack. We used to talk to him about the new person.
Exactly. So, and y'all did not get the new finance secretary's number yet? Because that's the person controlling the money.
Now you don't get it first.
Huh?
So your
well, I know you are a man around Tong and Scarborough. I know you are a man around Port of Spain and Scarborough. So you're supposed to have all these numbers in your back pocket, Paul Richard.
And through your esteemed offices, you could have the numbers also.
We don't deal with the finance sector in the House of Assembly.
Even the finance secretary either.
All right. Good morning, Meb Tishani. Paul, you're real thin-skinned boy.
I am.
Johnny, I hope I read it like how you said it. Troy says, good morning, guys. What did the 27 people tell immigration regarding accommodation? Miss Ingrid said, who's a caller from New York? There is no pleasing him. He is constantly battling on the radio. Enough is enough. I would like a word with New York.
I would say he's
like
battling with New York. Entitled his opinion, however wrong.
Yes, good morning as well. All right, let's run into 8 o'clock news, gentlemen.
Even people who are wrong
said with the arrogance that's required, right? You're entitled to opinion no matter how wrong. We're going to our 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Richie Rich.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.